If there's one set of Dex entries that have become extremely popular over the years, it's the Dark Dex entries. These are the horrid, creepy, and downright terrifying Dex entries that give you chills and send shivers down your spine while reading them. Even though it's a game meant for children, these Dex entries can get pretty dark, and though it's kinda gruesome, people really love these dark Dex entries cause it gives a whole new perspective to the happy-go-lucky Pokemon world that we all know today. I even made a video on some dark Mega Dex entries some time ago, and it's actually one of my most popular videos. Over time, Game Freak may have gotten dark with the Dex entries, but if you ask me, the games were also pretty dark in the early days. So that's why, in today's video, we're going to be going over the 10 dark Dex entries in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Last week, we went over the 10 weird Dex entries of these games, so if you haven't seen that already, be sure to check it out. But if you already have, then let's take a look at how dark the first generation of Pokemon really was. Once again, starting off the list with a rather popular entry, we have Parasect. Now, if you've played The Last of Us, you'd know how crazy it would be if we had cicadas take over our bodies. Or, if you didn't know or play that game, you can always just go ahead and ask Parasect itself. Though, you probably wouldn't get an honest answer cause it's already been taken over. The bug host is drained of energy by the mushrooms on its back. They appear to do all the thinking. What was once a symbiotic relationship has gone full on parasite to the maximum. That cute adorable Paras that you once knew? Yeah, kiss it goodbye. Oh wait, you can't. Cause the only thing you'll be able to kiss now are those evil mutating mushrooms on its back. Come on man, at least they could have warned us for some last words before they took over. Another Pokemon that doesn't give any warning is Jigglypuff. We've all seen cute and cuddly Jigglypuff in the anime follow Ash and our friends around, and always manage to put them to sleep. Of course, that's never its intention, but that's all it manages to do. However, based off what it's saying in its Red and Blue Dex entry, it seems to be rather intentional. Uses its alluring eyes to enrapture its foes. It then sings a pleasant melody that lulls the foe to sleep. See, on the surface, this isn't really that dark of an entry, but to me, it really is. Just look into Jigglypuff's eyes. Not the cute eyes you know and love, but these eyes. These eyes captivate you, and before you know it, shh, you're fast asleep. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Man, that's too creepy for me. Maybe our Jigglypuff in the anime isn't doing all this, but apparently the rest of them all are. Something I'm sure all NineTails are doing though, are laying curses on people. If you've ever played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red or Blue Rescue Team, or the recent Switch remake, then you'd be familiar with the whole story of the NineTails curse. But this isn't just one offshoot story. This is something that every NineTails has the power to do. Very smart and very vengeful. Grabbing one of its many tails could result in a 1,000-year curse. This is actually a personal favorite Dex entry of mine. As a kid, I'd always take through the Kanto Pokedex book and flip through it. And one day, as I was reading the NineTails page, I actually went up to my mom and asked if it was true. And she had to explain to me that it wasn't, but, you know, as a fanciful kid, I didn't get it. I don't remember if I was scared or what when I first read it, but after my mom spoke to me about it, I do remember being oddly fascinated by it. A Pokemon that you could capture and be friends with, but still it has the power to lay a 1,000-year curse on you? It was crazy to imagine. It was already quite an elegant Pokemon, and after this, it became a really powerful Pokemon in my eyes as well. One Pokemon that I always knew that was very powerful, however, was Gyarados. Yeah, of course it was brutal in the anime, was a huge reward for anyone who trained the Magikarp that they bought for 500 within the games, and one of Lance's strongest Pokemon. But it seemed to have a much bigger reputation in the ancient times than it does now. Brutally vicious and enormously destructive, known for totally destroying cities in ancient times. Imagine you were a warlord or something, and you had the patience to raise and train a Magikarp. Or better yet, like 3 Magikarp, and they all evolved into Gyarados. If what this Dex entry is saying is true, then man, you probably would have been a ruthless tyrant. Why did no one stop Gyarados? Was it just so powerful at the time? Was it because they didn't have access to electricity? It was probably the electricity. Nowadays, if you just throw a battery at Gyarados, it may get frightened. Take that, buddy. Society has also evolved, just like you. One Pokemon that got a good amount of attention in the original anime series was Victory Bell. It was one of James's Pokemon at the time, and it was quite a gag as it was always trying to eat James whole to show him affection, and was the Pokemon that set up future gags for James with Cacnea and Carnivine. That's what I would like to believe, but its Dex entry tells me that it set up a conspiracy with all of James's future Grass-type Pokemon to try and get rid of him completely. Lures prey with the sweet aroma of honey. Swallowed whole, the prey is melted in a day, bones and all. Oh my god. I always wondered how a Pokemon based off a Venus flytrap could be so friendly to humans, but now it all makes sense. It couldn't lure James in with honey, so it lured him in with affection, and then it tried to kill him! My god, what a diabolical friend. And on top of that, there were 2 of them. Whew, thank god it wasn't me. If it was, the smell of honey alone would have done me in. Wait a minute.
And there we go. A full team of 6 fully evolved Pokemon.
You wanna know another Pokemon that tries to suck all the life out of its prey? Golbat. Its first gen sprite always creeped the heck out of me. Like, what are you stretching your mouth up that wide for? It looks so big, like it can't even fly. Well, it turns out I may have been right with my assumptions. Once it strikes, it will not stop draining energy from the victim, even if it gets too heavy to fly. So this thing doesn't even care if it can't move around. It's just focused on sucking the life out of you completely. This is like a combination of most of the 7 deadly sins in one Dex entry. I won't say which ones. I'll leave that up to your interpretation. And the darkest part is that it sounds like it takes pleasure from this too. Otherwise, why would it risk its own survival and mobility for this? Come on, Golbat, you don't have to stoop that low. Thankfully, they fixed you up and made you a Crobat next gen. That'll tell you a thing or two about wanting to get too heavy. But you know, at least Golbat was sapping out energy. Cobbletops on the other hand is sucking out bodily fluids, and it's not doing it in a very graceful way either. A slim and fast swimmer, it slices its prey with its sharp sickles and drinks the body fluids. I mean, the first 2 parts were pretty obvious, but man, prehistoric creatures are ruthless, man. Can you imagine a Cobbletops running or swimming at you just to slice you up and drink you? Yeah, not a pleasant thought. Horrifying and disturbing at the same time. And of course, it's not the only prehistoric Pokemon to be this deadly. Here we have Cobbletops as a good friend, Aerodactyl. Let's take a look at Aerodactyl's Dex entry, shall we? A ferocious prehistoric Pokemon that goes for the enemy's throat with its serrated, saw-like fangs. Dang, dude. Serrated, saw-like fangs. I never would have imagined that to be the description for Aerodactyl's fangs. Nor would I have imagined an Aerodactyl soaring from the skies just to go for the enemy's neck. If these Pokemon were really alive in the modern day Pokemon world, I don't think the human population would be as big as it is today. Cause with Aerodactyl alone, we'd all have to wear some protective neck gear. Other Pokemon would probably have to wear some protective neck gear as well, but not Marowak. Cause gear or no gear, it looks like it's going down to cause Cubone to live a life full of grief and misery. Where's the skull of its deceased mother? Its cries echo inside the skull and come out as a sad melody. Well, you knew this one was coming. Marowak was a big part of the Gen 1 titles, and Cubone's whole existence falls under this tragic story. It's quite unfortunate, but you know, really, It never made any sense. Does the mother die during birth? Always? And that's how it gets the skull? That wasn't the case in Origins, cause Team Rocket were the ones to do Marowak in when Cubone was a child. But regardless of whether the mother dies or not, somehow it seems to always get a skull to cry into and play a sad melody. Don't worry, little guy. Sad melody or not, I'll always take care of you. Following the Lavender Town trend, it was only a given. From the only ghost type family in the games, we have Haunter. I know Gengar was the Pokemon you were probably expecting, and it does have a dark dex entry, but I thought Haunter's was much creepier, so I decided to stick to it instead. By licking, it saps the victim's life. It causes shaking that won't stop until the victim's demise. Now that's just crazy. Ash's Haunter was trying to save Ash from Misty's insults all along. See, no wonder we all love this Pokemon. This entry is pretty disturbing, considering that Lick is one of this family's only ghost type moves at the time, and is a staple of this family's at the time as well. Not only does it sap the victim's life, but unstoppable shaking till they fall dead. I don't want to be a witness to that. Thankfully, Ash has a Gengar now, and this guy doesn't seem to lick anything, so Charizard and Misty are once again safe. You know, I just realized, both of the final dex entries in these last two videos have been related to licking. Is that how it's going to be in the final video as well? Let's see, but I hope not. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned next week for the 10 funny dex entries of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Hit a bunch of like or dislike button, and subscribe and hit the little bell icon to stay up to date with all my content. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys over on the next video, alright? Later.